Hi, my name is Renee Clark, and this lecture is over Excel applications. Let's start with what is an Excel application. An Excel application is an Excel spreadsheet that has been created for a specific purpose or perhaps for a specific need. It usually starts with planning. So you need to start by planning and thinking about how things work. You need to decide how to lay it out. How will the data be organized? How will you get output? How will you do data entry, etc. This process is often done from scratch using pencil and paper if it's a very complex spreadsheet you're going to be working on, especially if you don't have a lot of experience with that type of spreadsheet. There can be different areas of function for those complex worksheets, often using multiple worksheets within the workbook. You might have a data entry area where anybody can come in and add data, but then a separate data storage area where that data that gets entered is stored, moved over perhaps using a macro. You also have areas where you manipulate the data or make calculations upon it. And you may also have an output area where you're either creating a report to be printed or saved to a PDF, or perhaps a chart, something that can be used in a presentation. Some assumptions that are often made that you want to make when working on an Excel application. You want to assume that your worksheet might be used by multiple users. This often requires a little more planning than if you were just using it only yourself. Okay, when you start sharing data, you have to give thought to what might other users assume. Also, you also want to document what you did and why, if necessary, especially if this is a worksheet that might be used by a boss or supervisor, an auditor who's coming to audit your company, those types of situations. Making it very clear what you've done and why can be beneficial. You also want to assume that worksheets might be printed. This ensures that if somebody else opens your workbook and decides to print it, that it will look good when it's printed and it will represent you well. Keep in mind, worksheets often or can last for many years. You want to make sure you have good formulas, that they're good, clean formulas, no confusion in what's supposed to happen, that they're laid out well, that the average user can pick them up and understand the information they see in front of them. And again, this is also one of the reasons you want to document what you did and why you did it if necessary. I bring this up twice because sometimes you keep a worksheet for multiple years, but you don't use it but once a year or every 2 years. If it's very complex and you haven't done a good job of making it clear what you did and why you did it, you may forget, and then you spend more time trying to redetermine what it was you were doing. So it's better if you document it well from the beginning. There are tools that are available to help make a better Excel spreadsheet. Some of the things you may want to consider using: name cells or ranges, formulas that use those defined names that you've created, data validation rules to help prevent data entry errors, worksheet and workbook protection to prevent unintended changes to formulas, and other worksheets where you store your data, perhaps the data storage area worksheet. Comments on Excel cells can help to provide documentation to be referred back to. You can also use macros These are devices that allow you to make a standard repetitive task happen by just running the macro. And you can create shortcuts to run those macros, whether they be a keyboard shortcut or a button that you click. All of these things help make better Excel applications.